space in general, space flight, living and working in space, very hard, very challenging. The engineers and scientists at NASA have done a tremendous job of making a job like mine very easy, but it's through a lot of hard work and effort. I feel really bad sometimes about being an astronaut, because as an astronaut you represent the most visible portion of NASA, and yet you know as an astronaut that the program doesn't happen because of you. It happens because of what everybody else does. I was talking to a few of the teachers earlier, and they were coming up to me and they were saying how, oh, it's so great that you're a role model and hero, and you hear all this stuff as an astronaut. But let me offer you a slightly different perspective on things. As an astronaut, you have an opportunity to affect and to interface with a handful of people across our country. Not a whole lot. But, when I think back about my role models when I was growing up, my role models didn't wear a blue flight suit. My role models, wore just normal clothes. And they had chalk dust on their fingers, and they had chalk on their back. They dealt with some unruly kids. Maybe, I was one of them every once in a while. But the point being is that those that will impact children are those that the children see on a day-to-day basis. As an astronaut, you might think that, geez, you have the ability to be an inspiration to a child. And I'll tell you that as a teacher, your inspiration is orders of magnitude more than ours could ever be. It's because of people like you that I became the person who I am. And it's because of people like you that your students might one day become, might one day be up here talking to a group of teachers, or might be before the Supreme Court, presenting a case, or might be working on a cure for cancer, a cure for AIDS, or what have you. Those role models, if you really, really want to find a great role model for a child, you go home, look in the mirror. That's where the role model is. Because every astronaut who got to this point did so because of people just like you. So I'm very happy to be here. My mom being a teacher, my wife being a teacher, I know and I understand and I value what education brings. Let me get really short on time here, but I'm going to share with you something that hopefully, when I was a kid growing up, I was always inspired by space. I looked up at the heavens, in El Paso, clear as night, you could see forever and a day. It was absolutely wonderful. Well, the second to last day on the space shuttle, we were on the flight deck, and we just received the wave off that we were going to land that day. And so we had some time on our hands. We basically got out of our pumpkin suits and we're just kind of hanging out. And I was up on the flight deck with Jim Riley, and we were looking out at the stars. Turned off all the lights in the space shuttle and closed the mid-deck hatches off. The guys were having like a party downstairs. I don't know what they were doing. Me and Jim were up there, and we were just looking at the night sky. And I love looking at stars. I'm not an astronomer, but I love constellations. I love looking up. And they were all there. You could see Pegasus, you could see Orion, you could see Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. That was a lot of fun. But I remember looking off at the distance over the space shuttle on the starboard side. I saw these two clouds. And I thought, clouds? What are clouds doing in space? That doesn't make any sense to me. So I pulled out some binoculars and I started looking into these clouds, trying to figure out what it was I was looking at. You got to remember that, here in this Milky Way, this galaxy that we kind of call home, we're out on this outer perimeter of this galaxy. It's way on the edge of this pinwheel galaxy. In fact, when you look up and you see the Milky Way at night, what you're really seeing is dust. You can't really see much of it. We don't even know what the inside looks like because it's so dusty we can't see. We think it's probably got a black hole in it. But we're way out here in the very, very edge of the Milky Way galaxy. And I was on this space shuttle, circling this little rock called Earth, this little bitty solar system, way, way out here. On the flight deck of the space shuttle, I'm looking through a pair of binoculars. And what I'm looking at were galaxies. The Magellanic Clouds, neighboring galaxies, with my own eyeballs, looking deep into them and see more stars than I've ever seen, looking up at the night sky in El Paso, Texas. I'm fulfilling my dream of being an astronaut and being part of the space program. And it was because I had teachers who inspired me, who encouraged me, and some who really kind of got on my case. But teachers were there day in, day out, year after year, first, second, third, all the way through school. So